Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and stared at the view screen. Space looked different out here at the edge of everything. The stars were fewer, spread out like tiny diamonds on black cloth. His ship, the Meridian, had been traveling for 3 weeks to reach this place. Nobody from Earth had ever come this far before, Captain. "We're picking up those strange readings again," said Sophie Chen. She was the ship's science officer, and right now she was frowning at her screen. "They're coming from that thing." Jake looked at where she was pointing. Floating in space ahead of them was something that shouldn't exist. It was huge, maybe 10 miles across, and it looked like it was made of crystal. The whole thing glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. "Any idea what it is?" Jake asked. Sophie shook her head. "Nothing in our databases matches it. The quantum readings are off the charts. It's like the thing is folded through multiple dimensions at once." Ryan Blake, the tactical officer, spoke up from his station. "Captain, I don't like this. We're a long way from help if something goes wrong." Jake nodded. Ryan was right to be careful, but they'd come all this way to investigate, and he wasn't going to turn back now. "Take us closer. Nice and slow. Megan, make sure the jump drive is ready in case we need to leave in a hurry." "Yes, sir," Megan Walsh called from engineering. She was the youngest member of the crew, but she knew the ship's engines better than anyone. The Meridian moved forward slowly. The crystal structure grew larger on the screen. Jake could see now that it had patterns inside it, swirling lines of light that moved and changed. It was beautiful in a strange alien way. Then everything changed. "Captain," Ryan's voice was sharp with alarm. "Contacts." "Hundreds of them. They just appeared out of nowhere." The view screen lit up with red dots, ships. They surrounded the Meridian on all sides, blocking any escape route. Jake felt his heart start to pound. He'd been in tight spots before, but never anything like this. "Show me," he said, keeping his voice steady. The image changed. Now Jake could see the ships themselves. They were unlike anything he'd ever seen. They didn't look built. They looked grown. Each one had smooth curves and strange patterns that glowed with different colors. Some were green, some purple, some gold. They pulsed with light just like the crystal structure. "They're not attacking," Ryan said. He sounded confused. "They're just sitting there, watching us." "Maybe they're waiting to see what we do," Sophie suggested. Jake was about to order a retreat when something appeared directly in front of them. One moment there was empty space. The next moment there was a ship. But calling it a ship didn't do it justice. It was enormous. The Meridian could have fit inside it 50 times over. Its hull glowed with a pale white light, and Jake could see shapes moving beneath the surface like fish swimming under ice. "Sir, they're scanning us," Ryan reported. "Full spectrum. They're learning everything about our ship, our technology, probably even our biology." "Can we block it?" Jake asked. "No, sir. Their technology is way beyond ours. It's like trying to stop sunlight with a paper towel." Jake made a decision. They couldn't fight. They couldn't run. That left only one option: open a channel. All frequencies. "Let's try to talk to them." Before anyone could respond, every screen on the bridge lit up at once. The main view screen, the navigation displays, even Megan's engineering readouts in the back. All of them showed the same thing. A face Jake had seen aliens before. Humanity had made contact with 3 other species in the past 50 years. But this was different. The being on the screen was clearly female, but that was where the similarities to humans ended. Her skin was translucent like frosted glass, and light seemed to move beneath it. She had 4 arms, 2 on each side, and they were decorated with jewelry that appeared to be alive, moving in shifting colors. Her eyes were the most striking feature. They looked like cut gemstones, multifaceted and glowing with an inner fire. When she spoke, her voice came from every speaker at once. It was musical and strange, but somehow Jake understood every word. The aliens must be translating directly into his mind. "I am Queen Vyra of the Luminary Collective," the being said. Her voice was calm but powerful. "This sector of space is under our protection. Your presence here is noted and allowed." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth ship Meridian." "We mean no harm." "We're explorers, scientists. We came to study the crystal structure." The Queen's eyes seemed to focus on him even though she must be millions of miles away. "Yes, we know what you are. We have been observing your species for some time. You are young, impulsive, but you have something we need." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What could beings this advanced possibly need from humans? "What do you mean?" The Queen was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, Jake heard something in her voice that surprised him. It sounded like pain, like desperation. "My daughter is dying," she said. "And across all the star systems under my rule, across all the species we have encountered in 50,000 years of existence, you humans are the only ones who might be able to save her." The bridge was silent. Jake stared at the screen, trying to process what he'd just heard. An alien queen, ruler of an empire that was ancient before humans even existed, was asking them for help. "It didn't make sense. I don't understand," Jake said slowly. "Your technology is clearly far beyond ours. How could we possibly help your daughter?" Queen Vyra's expression changed. For just a moment, Jake saw something very human in those alien eyes. He saw the fear of a mother who might lose her child. "Because," the queen said softly, "her body is perfect. Her body will live forever, but her mind, her spirit, her will to exist has broken, and in all our vast knowledge and all our advanced science, we have never learned how to heal such a wound. We eliminated suffering from our civilization 2,000 years ago. We forgot how to survive it, but you humans have not forgotten. You face pain and loss every day of your short lives, and somehow you find the strength to continue. That strength is what my daughter needs. That strength is what I am begging you to share." Jake looked at his crew. Sophie's eyes were wide with shock. Ryan had forgotten about his tactical display. Even Megan had come up from engineering to hear this. They were all looking at him, waiting for his decision. He turned back to the queen. "Tell me what happened to your daughter," he said. "Tell me everything." The transport beam felt like falling through water made of light. One moment Jake was standing on his bridge. The next he was materializing in a chamber so vast he couldn't see the walls. Everything glowed with soft colors that shifted and changed. Beside him, Sophie appeared, looking around with the same mix of wonder and fear that Jake felt. Queen Vyra stood before them. But now she wasn't a hologram. She was real, and she was even more impressive in person. She towered over them, easily 8 feet tall, and her presence filled the room. The living jewelry on her arms moved like small creatures, climbing and shifting. "Welcome to the Heart of Light," the queen said. "My flagship, follow me. I will show you why I have asked for your help." They walked through corridors that seemed to be made of solid light. Other luminari passed them, all tall and graceful, all glowing with that same inner radiance. Every one of them stopped and stared at the humans. Jake realized they probably had never seen anyone like him and Sophie before. "Your civilization," Jake said as they walked. "You said it's 50,000 years old?" "Older," Queen Vyra replied without turning around. 50,000 years ago, we achieved what you call perfection. Before that, we were young and struggling, much like your species is now. We conquered disease. We ended death itself. We spread across 300 star systems. Other species serve us or avoid us. We are the most powerful civilization in this region of the galaxy." Sophie spoke up, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "If you've achieved all that, how can we possibly help you?" The queen stopped at a large door that opened silently. "Because perfection has a price. Come, see for yourself." The room beyond was circular and filled with soft blue light. In the center was a chamber made of crystal, and inside that chamber floated a young luminari. At least she looked young to Jake. She appeared to be the equivalent of a human teenager, though he knew appearances meant nothing with aliens. Her skin was paler than the queen's, and she wasn't glowing. She floated in some kind of liquid, completely still, eyes closed. "My daughter," Queen Vyra said softly. "Princess Lyria. She is 317 years old by your counting. She should have thousands of years ahead of her. But she has been like this for 4 months now." Jake moved closer to the chamber. The princess looked peaceful, but there was something wrong. She was too still, too empty. It reminded him of people he'd seen in hospitals back on Earth, people who had given up on living. "What happened to her?" he asked. The queen moved to stand beside the chamber, placing one of her 4 hands on the crystal surface. 4 months ago, there was an accident. One of our deep space stations suffered a catastrophic failure. Lyria was visiting at the time. She tried to save everyone. She has strong abilities with technology, even for our kind, but the station collapsed too quickly. 3,000 luminary died in front of her eyes, and she could do nothing to stop it. Sophie pulled out a medical scanner and moved closer to examine the princess. "What are her physical symptoms?" "None," the queen said. "Her body is perfect. We have the finest medical technology in the galaxy. We can heal any injury, cure any disease, even grow new bodies if needed. But we cannot reach whatever is broken inside her mind. After the accident, she stopped speaking. Then she stopped eating. Then she stopped responding to anything at all. Our technology keeps her body alive, but she is fading. We can measure it. Every day, her brain activity decreases. She is choosing to die. And we cannot stop her because we cannot understand why. Jake felt a pain in his chest. He knew this story. He'd lived a version of it himself. She has survivor's guilt, he said quietly. She blames herself for not saving them, and she's suffering from what we call depression. Her mind is telling her she doesn't deserve to live when so many others died. Queen Vyra turned to look at him. We have no words for these things in our language. We had to learn them from studying your species. Guilt, depression, grief. We eliminated these from our society 2,000 years ago. We decided they were inefficient, harmful. We removed the capacity to feel them. How? Sophie asked, looking up from her scanner. Carefully, the Queen replied. Over many generations, we changed ourselves. We kept the good emotions, as we understood them. Joy, satisfaction, curiosity. We removed the bad ones. Pain, sorrow, fear. We thought we were becoming better, stronger. We thought we were evolving beyond the weaknesses that plague younger species like yours. But something went wrong, Jake said. The Queen nodded slowly. My daughter is not the first. There have been others scattered across our civilization. Luminari who simply stop functioning. We hide them. We are ashamed. We do not speak of them. But I cannot hide my daughter's condition. I cannot let her fade away. So I did something no luminary has done in thousands of years. I asked for help from a species we considered primitive. Why us specifically? Sophie asked. You must have encountered other species who still experience these emotions. We have, Queen Vyra admitted. But none of them have what humans have. We have observed your species for the past 20 years. You are unique. You have faced extinction multiple times in your history. Wars, plagues, natural disasters. You lose everything and yet you rebuild. You create art from your pain. You write songs about sorrow. You have entire fields of study dedicated to understanding and healing mental wounds. You survive trauma not by forgetting it, but by learning to carry it with you. This resilience, this stubborn refusal to give up even when all logic says you should. This is what my daughter needs. Jake looked at the princess floating in her chamber. She looked so peaceful. But he knew the kind of darkness that could exist behind closed eyes. He'd been there himself 5 years ago after the colony disaster. After he lost Emma. What exactly are you asking us to do? He said. Queen Vyra's voice became almost pleading. Teach her how to live with pain. Show her that survival is possible even after terrible loss. Help her understand that guilt and grief do not have to destroy her. I'm offering you anything within my power. Technology that would advance your civilization by centuries. Territory and space that you could never claim on your own. Knowledge that would solve problems you do not even know you have. I will give you all of this and more. Just please help me save my daughter. Sophie looked at Jake. He could see the question in her eyes. This was bigger than them. This was a decision that could change everything for humanity. An alliance with a civilization this powerful could mean safety, prosperity, advancement beyond imagination. But it all hinged on whether they could do something that seemed impossible. Could they teach an alien princess how to want to live again? Jake took a deep breath. He thought about Emma. He thought about all the dark days after she died when he didn't want to get out of bed when the universe seemed empty and cold. He thought about how he found his way back slowly, painfully, one day at a time. I'll stay with her, he said. I'll try to help her. But I need you to understand something, Your Majesty. This isn't about technology or medicine. This is about connection, about sharing stories and experiences. I can't promise it will work. I can't even promise I know what I'm doing. But I've been where your daughter is. I felt that darkness, and I found my way out. Maybe I can help her find hers. Queen Vyra looked at him for a long moment. Then slowly she bowed her head. It was a gesture of respect, Jake realized. From a queen who ruled 300 star systems, to a human captain from a young and struggling species. Thank you, she said simply. Stay as long as you need. All our resources are at your disposal. If you succeed, you will have the eternal gratitude of the Luminari. If you fail, you will still have my thanks for trying when no one else would. Jake had been sitting beside Princess Lyria's chamber for 3 days now. The room never got dark. The soft blue light was constant, eternal, like everything else the luminary created. He'd tried talking to her, but there was no response. No movement behind those closed eyes. Nothing to show she even knew he was there. On the fourth day, he changed his approach. He stopped trying to be therapeutic or helpful. He just started telling stories. "My daughter's name was Emma," he said to the still figure in the chamber. "She was 14 when she died. There was an accident at the colony where she lived with her mother. A reactor malfunctioned. I was halfway across the galaxy when it happened. I couldn't get there in time. I couldn't save her." He paused. Talking about Emma still hurt, even after 5 years. But if he was going to help this alien princess, he needed to be honest about his own pain. "For a long time after that, I didn't want to do anything. I took a leave from the space service. I stayed in my apartment for months. My friends would call, but I wouldn't answer. The world felt empty. I kept thinking that if I'd made different choices, if I'd been there instead of exploring some distant star system, maybe she'd still be alive." He looked at Lyria's face. Still no movement. But he continued anyway. "Humans have a long history of pain," he said. "We've faced things that should have destroyed us. Wars that killed millions, diseases that wiped out whole populations, natural disasters that leveled entire cities. And you know what? We survived. Not because we're strong or smart. We survived because we're stubborn. Because even in the worst times, humans find reasons to keep going." Over the next week, Jake told Lyria about human history. He told her about artists who created beautiful paintings during wars, about musicians who wrote songs in prison camps, about scientists who made discoveries while dying of terrible diseases. He told her about ordinary people who lost everything and somehow found the strength to rebuild. "We have this saying on Earth," he said one day. "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." I used to think that was stupid. After Emma died, I felt weaker, not stronger. But I think I understand it better now. The pain didn't make me stronger. But learning to live with the pain did. Learning that I could carry that weight and still move forward, that made me stronger. Sophie visited him every day, bringing him food and updates from the Meridian. The crew was being treated well by the Luminari. They had access to databases that contained knowledge humanity wouldn't discover for centuries. But Sophie was worried about Jake. "You've been here for 2 weeks," she said. "There's still no response from her. Maybe this isn't working." Jake shook his head. "She's listening. I can feel it. The Luminari say her brain activity changes slightly when I talk about certain things. She's in there, she's just lost. I need to give her more time." That night, Jake decided to try something different. He'd brought his personal tablet with him, and it had music files from Earth. Old songs, new songs, everything in between. He picked one carefully, a piano piece written by a composer who knew he was dying. The music was sad but beautiful, full of longing and acceptance. He played it softly in the chamber. The notes seemed to fill the space, mixing with the blue light. This composer knew. He only had a few months to live, Jake said as the music played. He was young. He had so much more he wanted to do. But instead of giving up, he wrote this. He turned his pain into something beautiful. That's what humans do, Lyria. We take our suffering and we transform it. We make art. We tell stories. We create meaning out of meaninglessness. The music ended. The room was quiet again. Jake was about to stand up and leave for the night when he saw something that made his heart skip. Princess Lyria's eyes had moved. Just slightly, still closed, but they'd moved beneath her eyelids like she was dreaming. "Lyria?" he said softly. "Can you hear me?" Nothing. But Jake felt a surge of hope. She was still in there. He was reaching her. The next day he played more music. He showed her pictures from Earth, sunsets, mountains, oceans, cities at night. He explained that humans found beauty even in imperfection, that a sunset was beautiful because it was temporary, that mountains were impressive because they could crumble, that the ocean was powerful because it could destroy. "Your people eliminated death," he said, "but I think maybe you eliminated something else too. You eliminated meaning. Things matter to humans because they can end. We love people because we know we'll lose them someday. Every moment becomes precious because there are only so many moments. On the 20th day, something changed. Jake was in the middle of telling a story about a human soldier who saved his friends during a battle when he heard a sound. It was soft, barely audible, but it came from the chamber. He stopped talking and listened. A voice, weak and quiet, transmitted through the chamber's communication system. "Why?" the voice said. Jake's hands were shaking. "Lyria, is that you? Why do you continue?" Her voice was like wind through crystal, beautiful and sad. "You lost your daughter. You could not save her. How do you find the will to live?" Jake felt tears on his face. He'd broken through. After 3 weeks of talking to what seemed like an empty shell, she was finally responding. He chose his words carefully. "Because she would want me to," he said. Emma loved life. She loved exploring and learning and experiencing new things. If I gave up, if I stopped living, it would be like saying her life didn't matter. By continuing, by exploring the stars like she wanted to do, I keep her memory alive. I carry her with me. There was a long silence. Then Lyria spoke again. "The 3,000 who died. I could not save them. I tried. I used all my abilities, all my training. But the station collapsed. They died afraid. They died in pain. How can I continue when I failed them?" "You didn't fail them," Jake said firmly. "You tried to save them. You did everything you could. That matters, Lyria. The attempt matters. The caring matters. You can't control everything. Sometimes terrible things happen, and it's not anyone's fault. It's just the universe being cruel and random." "But I should have been able to save them," Lyria whispered. "I had the power, I had the knowledge. Why wasn't it enough?" "Because nobody has enough power to control everything," Jake said. "Not you, not me, not even your mother with all her technology and all her star systems. Bad things happen. People die. And it hurts. It's supposed to hurt. That pain is proof that those people mattered to you, that their lives had meaning." He moved closer to the chamber. "You want to know how humans live with loss? We remember. We honor the dead by living for them. We tell their stories. We carry their dreams forward. And yes, it hurts. Every day it hurts. But that hurt connects us to them. It reminds us that they were real, that they mattered, that they were loved." Lyria was quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was stronger. "I want to understand this. I want to learn how to live with this pain instead of running from it. Will you help me?" Jake smiled through his tears. "Yes, I'll help you. We'll figure this out together." 2 weeks after Princess Lyria spoke her first words, she emerged from her chamber. She was weak at first, needing help to stand, but her eyes were open now, alert and curious. The glowing patterns under her skin, which had been dim and fading, were slowly beginning to return. Queen Vera wept when she saw her daughter standing. Jake learned that Luminari could cry, even though they had supposedly removed such responses from their biology. It seemed some things were too deep to engineer away completely. Lyria wanted to meet the rest of Jake's crew. Sophie was fascinated to finally speak with an alien who could answer her endless questions. Ryan was cautious at first, but Lyria's gentle curiosity put him at ease. Megan, the youngest, became something like a friend. They would sit together in the engineering sections comparing human and luminary technology. "Your ships are so inefficient," Lyria said one day, but there was wonder in her voice, not criticism. "You have to account for human error. You have backup systems for your backup systems. Everything can break." "That's because we do make mistakes," Megan replied. "All the time. My engineering instructor used to say that good design isn't about preventing all failures. It's about making sure failures don't kill anyone." Lyria thought about this. "We eliminated mistakes from our technology, from ourselves. We made everything perfect. But now I wonder what we lost." It was Sophie who first noticed something strange in the Luminari databases. She'd been researching their civilization, trying to understand their psychology. What she found disturbed her. "Jake, look at this," she said, showing him her findings. "The Luminari haven't created anything truly new in over 5,000 years. All their art is variations on ancient themes. All their science is refinement of existing knowledge. They don't innovate. They just optimize what they already have. Maybe when you reach perfection, there's nowhere left to go, Jake suggested. But that's not living, Sophie said. That's just existing. Without growth, without change, what's the point? Jake brought this up with Queen Vyra during one of their private conversations. The Queen had been spending time with him, asking questions about humanity, about how humans dealt with pain and loss. She admitted that watching him help her daughter had taught her things she never expected to learn. Your scientist is correct, the Queen said. We have become stagnant. We achieved perfection, and in doing so we removed the drive to improve. Why create new art when the old art is perfect? Why explore new ideas when the old ideas solve all problems? We stopped asking questions because we thought we had all the answers. But you don't, Jake said gently. You didn't have answers for what happened to your daughter. The Queen's eyes dimmed slightly. No, and she is not the only one. Across our civilization, there have been others like her, luminary who simply stop functioning despite perfect health. We hide them. We are ashamed. We do not speak of it. But the problem is growing. How many? Jake asked. Thousands. Perhaps tens of thousands. It is difficult to know because families conceal the condition. They believe it is a failure of some kind. But now I think it is something else. I think it is our civilization finally paying the price for eliminating suffering. We removed pain, but we also removed meaning. We removed death, but we also removed the urgency that makes life precious. Jake thought about this. So what will you do? Queen Vyra looked at him with those multifaceted eyes. I will learn from you. Your species may be young and chaotic and inefficient, but you have something we lost. You have passion. Purpose. The ability to find meaning in struggle. I want my people to remember how to truly live, not just exist. Over the following weeks, more luminari began interacting with the human crew. They were fascinated by human art, especially the tragic stories that somehow ended with hope. They couldn't understand how humans could create beauty from pain, but they wanted to learn. Lyria was changing. She smiled now, something the luminari rarely did. She asked questions constantly. She wanted to understand everything about human culture, human emotions, human ways of dealing with hardship. One day, she came to Jake with a request that surprised him. I want to experience mortality, she said. What? Jake almost dropped his tablet. Not permanently, Lyria explained. We can reverse it. But I want to know what it feels like to exist with the knowledge that I will someday die. You said that limitation gives life meaning. I want to understand that. I want to feel time passing and know that each moment matters because there are only so many moments. That's a big decision, Jake said carefully. What does your mother think? She is afraid. But she trusts you. She trusts what you have taught me. She believes that understanding mortality might help me truly heal. Jake thought about the weight of mortality, something he'd carried his whole life without thinking about it. Could that weight be a gift? Could knowing you would die make you appreciate living? Only if you're sure, he said finally. Only if you truly want to understand what it means to be human. Not just the good parts. The fear, the urgency, the knowledge that everything ends. I am sure, Lyria said. Those 3,000 who died, they died as mortals even though luminari technology could have saved them if given time. I survived when they did not. To honor them, I want to understand what they lost. I want to know what it means to have a limited existence. The process took 3 days. Luminari physicians carefully adjusted Lyria's biology, removing the systems that prevented aging and cellular decay. When it was complete, Lyria looked the same, but something fundamental had changed. She was mortal now, not immediately dying, but no longer eternal. She had perhaps 500 years ahead of her, maybe more with care. But those years would end. How do you feel? Jake asked. Lyria was quiet for a moment, her eyes distant. Then she smiled, and there were tears on her face. Real tears, not the ones her mother had shed. These were tears of release and understanding. Afraid, she said, and alive. Truly alive. For the first time in my existence, I understand why each moment matters. I can feel time moving. I can feel my own heartbeat knowing it will not beat forever. And it is terrifying and beautiful at the same time. She looked at Jake with gratitude in those gemstone eyes. Thank you for showing me how to live. Not just exist. Truly live. You gave me back something I didn't know I was missing. Jake felt his own tears forming. He'd come here to save a dying alien princess. Instead, he'd discovered that humanity's greatest gift wasn't its technology or its strength. It was its ability to find meaning in suffering, to create purpose from pain, to choose to live fully even knowing that everything ends. Queen Vyra called a formal gathering. The great hall of the Heart of Light filled with luminari from across the fleet. They came to see the human who had saved their princess. But what they witnessed was something none of them expected. Jake stood before the assembled crowd with his crew beside him. Sophie, Ryan, and Megan looked nervous. They were just 4 humans surrounded by thousands of beings who had ruled this section of space for 50,000 years. But Queen Vyra did something unprecedented. She bowed, not a small gesture of respect but a full formal bow, lowering herself before Jake Morrison, captain of a simple human exploration vessel. A sound rippled through the crowd. Shock. Confusion. In 50,000 years, their queen had never bowed to anyone. "Captain Morrison," Queen Vyra said, her voice carrying through the chamber, "you and your crew have given me back my daughter. But you have given me something more valuable. You have shown me that perfection is not the highest achievement. Connection is. Understanding is. The ability to grow and change and learn, even after millennia, is what truly matters." She straightened and looked at her people. "For too long we have considered ourselves superior to younger species. We measured worth by technology and lifespan and power, but this human taught my daughter something our entire civilization could not. He taught her how to live with pain, how to find meaning in loss, how to choose life even when darkness calls." Lyria stepped forward to stand beside her mother. She looked healthy now, glowing with that inner light all luminari possessed. But there was something different about her, something the assembled crowd could see. She smiled. She showed emotion. She was, in her own way, more alive than she had ever been. "My mother asked Captain Morrison for help," Lyria said. "She offered technology, territory, anything we could give. But what he gave us cannot be measured in such terms. He gave us wisdom earned through suffering. He showed us that humanity's greatest strength is not their tools or their weapons. It is their resilience, their refusal to surrender even when logic demands it, their ability to create beauty from pain and meaning from loss." Queen Vyra turned back to Jake. "I wish to make a formal request, not as a queen demanding tribute, but as one leader to another. Stay with us. Teach us what you have taught my daughter. Humanity and the Luminari have much to learn from each other. We can offer you technology that would advance your civilization by centuries. You can offer us something we have lost, the knowledge of how to truly live." Jake looked at his crew. They nodded. This was bigger than any of them, but it felt right. "I'll accept," Jake said, "but on one condition." The hall went silent. Queen Vyra tilted her head. "Name it." "You have to acknowledge that we're equals," Jake said firmly. "Not servants. Not primitives you're helping out of charity. Equal partners. Both of our civilizations have value. Both have things to teach. If we're going to do this, it has to be a real exchange, not just you granting favors to a lesser species." The silence deepened. What Jake was asking had never happened in luminary history. They had allies, servants, subjects. But equals? Species they considered truly equal to themselves? Queen Vyra looked at Jake for a long moment. Then she began to laugh. It was a beautiful sound like crystal bells, and it was the first time Jake had heard her laugh. "You are absolutely right," she said, "and I am humbled. Here I thought I was being generous, offering gifts to a young species, but you are teaching me yet another lesson. True partnership requires mutual respect. Very well, Captain Morrison. I formally recognize humanity as an equal civilization. We will share knowledge freely, trade as partners, and defend each other as allies. Your species will have full access to luminari space and protection from any who would threaten you." The crowd erupted. Some luminari cheered. Others looked uncertain. This was unprecedented, revolutionary. But looking at their princess, healthy and smiling in a way they had never seen before, many began to understand. Perhaps these humans did have something valuable to offer. Over the next month, plans were made. A formal embassy would be established. Human teachers would come to luminary worlds to share their culture, their art, their ways of dealing with hardship. In return, human scientists would have access to knowledge that would transform their civilization. Medical technology that could cure diseases, energy systems that would end scarcity, faster than light travel that actually worked reliably. But more than technology, something fundamental had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy. They had an ally, a powerful one, gained not through conquest or trade, but through compassion, through one man's willingness to share his pain and help an alien princess find her way back to life. On the day the Meridian prepared to return to human space, Lyria came to say goodbye to Jake. They stood in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. "I will miss you," she said. "You saved my life. More than that, you taught me what life means." "You helped me too," Jake admitted. "I've been carrying Emma's death for 5 years. It still hurts. It always will. But helping you, seeing you find your way back, it reminded me why I keep going." She would have loved this. Meeting aliens, making first contact, building bridges between civilizations. In a way, I got to do all this for both of us. "Your daughter would be proud of you," Lyria said gently. "And those 3,000 would be proud of you," Jake replied. "You honored them by choosing to live, by learning to carry their memory without letting it destroy you." They stood together in comfortable silence. Then Lyria spoke again. "Promise me you'll come back. I have so much more to learn about being human, about art and music and all the ways your people find meaning in struggle." "I promise," Jake said. "This is just the beginning. For both our species." As the Meridian jumped back toward human space, Queen Vyra sent one final message. It appeared on every screen on the ship, her face gentle and wise. "Captain Morrison, when you first arrived, I asked what humanity could possibly teach us. I thought we knew everything. We had achieved perfection. But you showed me that perfection is not the goal. Connection is, growth is. The willingness to admit you don't have all the answers, and to learn from those you once considered beneath you. Thank you for giving me back my daughter. Thank you for teaching an ancient queen that there are still new lessons to learn after 50,000 years. Thank you for reminding us what it means to hope." The message ended. Jake sat in his captain's chair, looking at the stars streaming past. Beside him, Sophie smiled. "We did it. We actually made first contact with an advanced civilization, and we didn't mess it up." "We did more than that," Ryan added. "We changed everything. Humanity has a place in the galaxy now. A real one," Megan grinned. "Wait until the folks back home hear about this. They're never going to believe it." Jake pulled up a photo on his tablet. Emma smiling at the camera, her whole life ahead of her. He'd carried this pain for so long, believing it served no purpose except to hurt. But now he understood. That pain had given him empathy. It had given him the ability to reach Lyria when no one else could. His loss had become a bridge between worlds. "You would have loved this, Emma," he whispered to the photo. "You always wanted to meet aliens. I got to do it for both of us. And I think maybe you helped me save someone else's daughter. Maybe that's what loss is supposed to teach us. Not to stop living, but to live more fully, to connect more deeply, to understand that pain shared becomes bearable, and that even in our darkest moments we can still create something beautiful." The Meridian raced toward home, carrying news that would change humanity forever. Behind them, the Luminari fleet watched them go, their ancient civilization beginning to remember something they had forgotten long ago. The value of imperfection, the beauty of struggle, the meaning found in choosing to live fully, even knowing that everything ends. And in that moment, two civilizations, one ancient and one young, began walking together toward a future neither could have imagined. A future built not on power or technology, but on the simple act of sharing pain and finding hope together.